All right, we're gonna call the May 5th Parks and Rec Advisory Committee to order. Please. Pledge allegiance. Roll call, President is Carlos Cifarelli.
Vice President Maria Lugaville.
Robert Lewis, present.
Susan Vale, present.
David Ruth, present. And we'd like to make a motion to allow Mr. Virtues to participate virtually due to exceptional circumstances. Anyone second the motion?
I'll second.
Ayes?
Aye.
Aye. So the first item up for discussion is the budget initiatives.
Well, you guys want, I can open up this document we have here.
You're opening the document. May I ask a question? What is our budget as a committee? Do we have a budget?
So we have a very small budget and it's what's been adopted in the past. And the purpose of this is to try and put something together for what we want to put in front of the board for the new fiscal year. So we can hopefully adopt something out of here, or at least have some ideas what to look for. So this specific workshop is for what would be new.
So should we start off with the stuff that absolutely has to get done, in particular at the pool?
If you would like to, that would be fine. I'm really not finding.
I mean, there are optional things
I
and
already
there are,
clicked it, it won't open. Right here, right?
Oh, just click the blue. Can you click the blue? Will it pop open?
No, no, it's not there.
Oh, all right.
It was on here.
I just saw it.
Over here. I opened it, slid it over. All right, so that's what's in front of everybody. So let's scroll one down to the pool. So these are different items that staff has worked on over basically the last year, some ideas that we had. I don't think any of this has gone in front of the board, but these were just from absolutely gotta do it to pie in the sky, things that could happen in the future, right? So at the pool, just first in order of the list, Chelsea actually contacted Musco Lighting and they came out and talked with both of us and they gave us some cost to put lighting, because in the past, it's been a lot of people ask about nights. Can we do night swimming? Not unless we have deck lights, right? Staffing would have to be figured out later. The other thing is if we did have lights, in addition to night swimming, we would also be able to have events at the pool. It would be bright and safe and everything. So this price right here, and I can forward this all to you later so you have it individually, so you can click on the links. This is the price, should pop up here, and the description of what it is. So this is almost like stadium lighting, not quite as tall, and the trees on top aren't as big. But I believe, and if I go to my next one here. So if I open this one, it should give you a diagram of what we're looking at. So there's the pool, and you can see here with 2 posts only, post 1 down in the bottom left and post 2 in the top right, and 2 sets of, I call them light trees on top, that will illuminate the whole area. Right? So now all of a sudden we're open for pretty much anything we want to do. They've gone ahead and right here, these numbers just indicate the lumens that you'll be getting in the different areas. But everything you see here, obviously back here, we're a little more shaded, but we already have building lights, right? But these are the lumens in whatever measure they used. Obviously 10's high and 1 is low. So we'll be well lit if this were to go. Once again, this was just something, that we threw out there to ourselves to say, what would this cost? And if the board someday goes, let's look at this, at least we're ahead of the game.
Do you have a picture of what the light fixture looks like?
Not on this document, I do not. I think I probably have it on an email where I can find it and stick it to here.
I'm just concerned, I know we're far from the beach, but, uplights, I've been told that in this community, we don't, follow, protocol to keep lights down, and that's, for wildlife and sea turtles and migrating birds and things like that. So it'd be interesting just to see it. If you don't comply, you don't comply, but.
Yeah.
I'm kind of,
Yeah, 100%.
Would like to see it.
And I mean, just knowing Musco, and they do most of the fields, definitely in Lee County, and I don't know how far of the rest of the state they go, but they follow every, legality. So we will certainly ask about that, and I'll see if I can find some photos for you.
This would certainly be welcomed by the community. Because I read a lot of complaints as to, why does the pool close at 6? I don't get home from work. I can't use the pool. Why can't we have lights? So I think it would be welcome.
We hear it a lot too at the pool. Get a lot of complaints, but there's a concern there for sure, and I want.
Does it require a motion to proceed?
So this is a workshop. I think the idea is,
So at workshops, you can't take action,
Okay,
but you can give consensus. Ultimately, the board is looking for your initiatives for the Parks and Rec, all of its amenities. So if we can get some feedback and some guidance from you all, then we can take those suggestions and ideas back to the board with some cost estimates associated to them.
okay.
What does everybody think? That I'm definitely for it. I think it's necessary.
I'm for it.
I think it's a good idea.
we talked last time about prioritization of items because there are a lot of things we're all gonna say yes to.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say yes with a caveat that it fits in the budget. We're gonna have to prioritize these things.
so as an idea, what if we run through everything, and in the end, we can start at the top and go down? Because you start saying yes, and now that we're up in the $1 million range,
Yeah.
you pretty much nothing's gonna happen. So maybe we
Right.
go through it all, then you can prioritize, and we can sort of pick and choose,
So
Right.
why don't you just run through each item generally?
as opposed to going by the.
From a staff
Yeah.
perspective. And then, so at yesterday's boards of supervisors meeting, they did, congratulations, Mr. Ruth, for more, with, not online either, but welcome. The board has, suggested, especially with regards to the commons, that you consider like a phase 2 approach to the admin building and what smaller, perhaps passive amenities that could be added there. That could make it more than just an admin building and a pool. So that is just a notion that they made yesterday.
Well, I mean, I said from the get-go, I think we need to take advantage of the big area. So, for me, music to my ears, I think we need to start developing something that would be used by more people. Maybe trail for the beginning, or, I mean, we have to really put our heads together and take ideas from the previous plan that was, we
Mhm.
talked about 2 meetings ago, I guess. See what would be the best fit to be next to the pool right there.
I think in the last meeting, we talked about the building itself and how there will be a portion of it's gonna be dedicated to additional interior space, right? For clubs and meetings and work, et cetera. But beyond that, just so you're not already headed towards that, beyond that, what would be?
Right?
Yeah.
And I think before we do everything else, anything else, we have to think about the parking first. Because that will take a big space.
I believe on the master plan, we've already accounted for just in other words, there's enough spaces for the amenities and the administration building, correct?
How many parking spots?
So we're required, we've well exceeded with the plan for the admin building, the minimum requirement for the development order for the county. So, any proposal or adjusted use, I mean, we'd have to look and see what that use is, but, the board has more than accommodated the parking spaces at the admin building.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to say is if we develop, let's say, I'm just using random examples, a playground for little kids, a basketball court, a venue with a tent to where concerts can be had and all sorts of things. Shouldn't we plan for parking in advance? Because that will take a big space in itself. That's where I'm a little.
Can you split your screen and show the site plan for the proposed? So we can have them at the same time. Let's just talk about that. We can look at this list. Okay.
Let me. We have to send it here. But yes, it can be done,
And-
I'm sure.
Parking,
Wizard Chelsea can do it.
How many spots did you say there was? I'm sorry.
62. I think.
62? Okay.
Sorry, I'm the workshop and I guess less formal. So there's 62 for the new one, plus the pool has the parking of the asphalt, plus the sodded area. And I think those are adding grass the entire area, like I've been building, then we grass everywhere, patient. Stop looking at. Utilizing for. That's.
And as far as that goes, something for a good idea for a next step is something we've all talked about, you all have talked about, especially Bob. That's a great place for either a small or a large band shell.
Yep.
Which brings in, you're not thinking, well, who plays tennis, who plays pickleball? You can do anything with your space. So those kind of ideas, I think, big draws and minimal impact, financially.
That's where I was thinking, okay, do we have enough parking or something?
Yeah.
That will attract this many people.
And for very large events, we can always section off areas like at the Christmas. We have to make different.
right,
Yes.
this is my green hat. It's like, I wouldn't want to see an entire great big parking lot that only gets used 4 times a day, 4 times a year. If we could, and I think that's what you're talking about, the grass parking that's stabilized, so you still get the water flow through and you don't have the heat load of a parking lot.
Right, and I
For,
think there's
you know,
actually,
those event
there's
dates.
codes in place that say you can only cover X amount of square feet of land with pavement.
Mhm.
Structure, right? So that's perfect and fit, like what we're talking. Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, so another, I've just written little descriptions, but, this is automated cantilever gate and fence at the Sherman Soccer Complex entry. So you can read this, but I'll just tell you real quick what we're considering we talked about this. Our big issue here is we have vandalism, we have people hanging around the parks all kinds of night, the liability and everything. There's people that come here and just hang out and drink. We do have police to patrol and we get the reports. Things happen quite often. So when we adopt the new park hours and operation officially, when this will give us an opportunity at 10 o'clock, if the park closes, we can close the park. It'll be automated and on a timer. So the area exactly is when you come in and that first lake is right there. We already have a fence. It would go across Soccer Drive over to the berm on this side, the gate would, and then a fence over the berm tying in the utility. So at 10:15, give them a little time to get out. We close at 10. It shuts. Now, if someone were back there hanging out and they get stuck in there, there will be mag strips in the pavement, so it will open and get out. But this would cut down, it would solve so many problems that staff has with overuse, people. I thought this one, so reasonable, my perspective, cost. We had a few different bids, but this is the trusted contractor that I put on here. So for the gate itself, it's 40 to 80, all automated, and then of course the fence and install and everything is 26,500. Is there?
Oh, so just for the automated section is 4,200?
No, the whole thing. So when Chelsea's done, we'll open it up and
Pretty
look at it,
great.
but go ahead, Chelsea.
No.
Go ahead.
So is
So
the
3780 is all.
Yeah, let me just make sure I'm telling you right. So this right here is just for
Oh, so the gate lift is
Is it a gate type fence or a swinging arm?
Cantilever, I should have said. I think I wrote that. It's a cantilever, so it's gonna go sideways and on rollers and, be chain driven.
Okay,
So this is the operator for the gate, right? The machinery that turns it and the chains and the cogs and all of that. Other one was for the material itself for the fence and kidding me.
The work.
let's look at the cost benefit. What is the cost currently to repair vandalism and everything else that goes on?
Pad repair is probably around $2,000 to $3,000. We are getting by with right now a no cost to us over and above what Lee County does. Sheriff Patrol, they swing through 2 to 4 times an evening. We have looked into security, which we probably really do need to do. That gets quite expensive. I've got some cost on that. Maybe I should have put them on there. So you're looking at 45 grand a year-ish for security if we brought that in. Because the sheriffs can only do so much. They do a swing through, they'll sit in a tree for a few minutes, maybe walk around. They do check the doors, but very minimal, right? But we can cut that out completely. We don't have to talk about the security at $45,000 a year. That's an immediate savings right there.
And what about insurance? If an insurance company knew that it's blocked off, or there is no insurance, I don't know. Is there insurance on the property?
Yeah,
By
we're
the-
certainly insured. And if you're talking about for emergency situations, in other words, if,
No, I'm talking about, what you're paying for property insurance. Like in my house, I have a burglar system and stuff, I get a credit
oh, I
for that.
understand. Yeah.
So would you get credits on whatever premium you pay for insurance?
I don't know the answer to that, but we can find out.
Because that would be a positive thing also.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, the lighting, that's gonna be on your system, right? So you'll have that area on, I'm gonna call it a BAS for no other better,
We're talking about the
Sure.
soccer park.
and the
Okay.
soccer park. And then, what's the annual maintenance on that? Once you get this fence in, what's your maintenance cost?
The maintenance would just be the machinery itself. It just needs to be oiled and probably greased once in a while. If
Who's
that's
gonna
what you're
do
talking
that?
about.
Yeah.
We
is that
can
in
either
your-
do that or we can have it done. I'm sure that in this contract, we can find out or have an additional put in for them to
Okay.
do that.
Because I just see a gate like that, say some hooligan decides, well, I'm gonna ram the gate. So then, oh, we gotta get it fixed. And if that keeps happening, that might end up being a cost for you. So it's just like, I love the idea of a gate,
Mhm.
but then there's always the cost of maintenance. Just because you have something, it costs money, either to grease or oil it. And, hopefully that's only once or twice a year, but then repairs or, is it on a regular maintenance? Will it be on a regular maintenance?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're also trying to build more of a regular maintenance program. We're documenting all that new now for all the parks. In other words, everything we do, wouldn't say it's willy-nilly, but we have not had a program in place. So something like that is simple and easy. It will just fall into the slot in our program. And as far as someone ramming it, I mean, well,
That's gonna happen.
not much we can do.
I know.
Well, you can have cameras on it.
We can certainly, and Chelsea had already talked about bringing in some more cameras once we get this existing system we're working on. Because we do need more coverage.
If you put a camera on a gate,
Mhm.
like where we live over in Gateway Greens, that we have cameras and people ram the gate. They look and they get their license plate and they said, okay, coming after you.
Yeah.
And then they do
That
that.
makes sense. Also, I understand everything has a cost, but since we provide the facility, I think we're obligated to provide to provide a solution to discourage and not invite and provide a place for all those bad behaviors to come in. I mean, we have a lot of young children and families that live around here that anybody should be able to feel safe to walk around the trails and go anywhere without having those issues.
So are you
So I think-
worried the gate will be a deterrent?
No,
to-
no.
okay.
I'm saying, yes, I think a gate will be a good deterrent
Oh, okay.
for
good
bad
one. Okay,
behavior.
yeah.
and allow for
And it will help
elements to come in
without,
that we don't need.
and just by being there, it helps with us enforcing our operational
Right,
hours,
exactly.
right? Without having to staff it.
I think just providing the area for the fields without securing it is not a good thing.
How much do you pay for Lee County to come patrol that?
Well, like I said, they come by several times a night.
Right.
And right now that's just
How
part of
many
being,
times have
part
they
of, part
ever
of, like, if
arrested-
you called them, they'd come out. They just come
Yeah.
out.
But they come out, but you pay them extra. though,
We-
right?
No, we're
Yeah,
not
we-
currently with this, are we?
Yes.
Okay.
We pay an additional security patrol on top of an additional traffic patrol for Gateway Community. And this fiscal year's budget is $150,000. So we haven't come anywhere near spending all of that because we're at the mercy of the scheduling because these are additional duty shifts, but we do spend quite a bit of money on this. And it's been a common issue amongst the leagues and parking. I left here last night at 7 PM and this place was a madhouse. I mean, just no respect for signage or property or landscaping, you name it. So there's definitely some enforcement concerns that we have to work out operationally, but anything helps at this point.
Okay, so by putting the gate up, you're going to also close off access to the park where the kids play on
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
Okay, so then you'll be able to turn off the lights that are there, so you'll have a savings of electricity as well.
Although I would
Because you won't need.
still
them
say it
on.
would be a good idea to have a few lights out
I
there.
feel that.
Yes,
Good.
but-
See other things.
but yeah, we could cut down on it for sure. Yeah. All right, on to the next
Okay.
one if you guys are ready.
All right, so what are we supposed to do? Just say, yes, great idea, let's go
Well,
for it?
just
or-
keep it under your hat now and we'll go through it all again and then we'll say,
Okay.
yay, that's awesome. Let's not talk about that one again.
This meeting is really for you all to come up with any initiatives that you've heard either through the community, social media, word of mouth, ideas that you may have that you'd like for the board to consider for the Parks and Rec here. Part of the budget discussions. We know at the last meeting, we had, Maria, you weren't here, but we did have, the pool task force come and present some ideas. And we also had a dog park member come and present some ideas,
Right.
list per se, so.
I got caught up.
Perfect.
All right, so we've all talked about this a few times, but this is the actual bid for bringing a medium to large size play set up to the Gateway Commons facility. This is probably about 4 or 5 months old, but this number is staggering. And just so everybody knows, playground equipment is crazy. This number, $123,000, is for site development, walkways out of natural material, not concrete, and the set itself. When you price out play sets, if it costs 80,000, you need to almost double that for the install and the site work. So this number is, and I think here I even have a photo of what this looks like. There's your play set there. Let's go back here. I think I have a better visual. Huh. Go back to the other one.
I have.
Close the other one. Should just open. There we go. No?
You gave some statistics at the last meeting with respect to the demographics of Gateway, and it was like 50% of the populations with senior citizens. Was that about correct?
More or less. I actually have them over my desk. We could break it down, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
and-
general.
And how many of those families, how many of the other 50% have, little kids? Because I look at this and I think this is not a priority issue for the community, and I would look at it next year. I
Mhm.
mean, that's my personal, especially when half the population are senior citizens.
I understand. So we can definitely get there's a place, a few more years out of this one here. And I don't foresee ever removing this. It wouldn't make any sense. Sorry, I'm hitting you in the head. But the fun park, if it disappears, we do need to look at maybe something else, right? So that was the impetus behind this. And like we have been talking about, bringing some attractions up there. So once again, this was just an idea that we had, took it as far as pricing it out. So we knew what we were looking at.
So you're talking about this playground here?
No, so this one, I
This
don't
is
see
new.
any reason to remove this playground. but the fun
Two.
park will be removed. It has about 6 months life left in it at best. But
I
we,
wouldn't take my kids there, but
Right,
okay,
but if
if you say so.
if we're looking for more places to bring the young kids, like Bob's talking about, this is another opportunity.
I see the smaller version of this inside the fence at the pool, because we're trying to build up more people coming to the pool. I think more families will come to the pool, bring their kids, and if they play over in the grassy area that exists now and the little pool back in the back and
So
not
that,
do,
that's
not,
where,
not really do much outside the fence.
and this is inside the fence. This is where we had, when I walked with the gentleman who
Yeah.
came out, we said, we want it within our fence, because
I
we
just see a
don't
smaller
want to put it
scale.
outside right now where people can go there any time of night.
I just see
Um,
a smaller scale of that, cause I mean, I think you're gonna choke to death if they see $123,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well-
so I think, we're talking a smaller version of that. I'd get rid of the thing over at the fun park and bring it over there as a way to say, okay, we're listening to the people in the community. And, this is one way we're gonna improve it. Get
And we
people-
have the kid
get
pool,
people
which is
walking
seldom
through that
used.
gate is to me, one of the key things we need to do.
Mhm.
People walking through that gate, if they go back there to play, that's not gonna disrupt what happens within the water.
Right.
Okay.
And it'll bring more kids to the kiddie pool, which we don't use that often.
Exactly.
You go.
Go ahead.
The, what's the lifespan of this equipment nowadays? How long is it gonna last?
So this one is powder coated steel and obviously plastic on the slides. It's gonna last much longer than, for instance, the fun park, which was all call it Trex board or composite board. They don't last. I'm gonna say we'll probably get, and I can check with them to confirm, but we should be able to get about 15 years out of this easily, very easily.
Plus you can replace the components.
Well, right, and even in
Yeah,
15
so-
years, as things start to deteriorate, we can replace the items, not the whole set.
Yeah. I think doing this at the pool or in that area where you're gonna do your long-term plan. If you do the whole thing, do where your long-term plan is, makes sense and not at the fun park. I don't see it, putting a lot of effort in there.
Yeah.
That's
I-
my opinion.
I will second that. I wouldn't do anything at the fun park, the no fun park.
No.
I would rather see it not in the closement of the pool. I kind of disagree with that because it will bring too much traffic through the pool that is going to annoy people. I think just maybe adjacent
Mm.
to the pool. I would prefer that with a separate entrance. And I understand the cost. It's 123,000, but we're not just servicing a small neighborhood here. It's like, let's ask for it, the whole thing. And it's like, we have an opportunity now to start creating something. And if we just ask for a penny is what we're going to get. I think we should ask for what is needed. And I think this is needed for the other entire 50% of the community. And if we don't get the whole thing, we're going to get part of it. I feel like we're going to miss an opportunity. We're sitting on Santa Claus's lap and we're only asking for a candy cane when we want a brand new truck and a fire station. And it's not we want, it's that we need. I think we really need a lot of things. And asking for it is not gonna kill us. If we don't get it, we don't get it, but we need it.
So one of the other things that the board mentioned yesterday was, back to Bob's comment, was 2020 census data has it pretty much down the middle, 50-50, retirees and then young families. One of the other items that the board brought up yesterday, more so with regards to special events, but just making sure that we're accommodating both age groups that we have, majority of. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. One of the, like, we have our holiday event in the winter, and then we normally do a 4th of July one at the pool. But one of the comments that was made was, how can we, at least for a special event, gear that more towards our older population?
being 50% of the population senior citizens doesn't write them off, right? Because I would say that at least half of those senior citizens have grandchildren. So when those grandchildren are visiting, there's nowhere to go, nowhere to take them, nowhere to play. So why are we completely writing off 50% of that population? It's not really.
And older
a true
folks are
story.
much more active, much later now. So they
Absolutely,
don't sit back in the
absolutely.
yarn and, you know, we don't need a
Absolutely.
place for that.
I mean, the old community I lived in before I moved to Gateway, we had a pickleball court on Saturday and Sundays. It was jammed.
Mhm.
And it was
That
mostly
is-
older people.
it's
there.
unbelievable.
There was no young kids, not that I'm a kid. There was
Yes,
There was-
yes, you are.
There was very few, there was no 20-year-olds unless they were playing with their fathers or something. It was all older people, 50s and 60s and 70s.
And
So, I
that's
mean,
huge.
that's
And if we
not
brought
just a
something in
young-
like pickleball, there's
I'd
there's
love
an opportunity to actually generate an income. Because we could have a clubhouse, we
Yeah.
could have a pro,
Yeah.
we could actually even get to
Absolutely.
where we had a shop,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I was speaking about the playground.
Mhm.
It's going to be
Right.
used by senior
Definitely.
citizens,
It will be.
taking their
And I
grandkids
agree with
there.
Maria.
So,
I think it should be moved outside of the pool, because I was there with
No, yeah.
3 kids at the pool. And there was a lot of older people that were complaining
Mhm.
a lot
mhm.
under their breaths about, oh, the kids have a toy in the pool and they have a toy this big. Oh,
Right,
there's a kid eating on the pool deck, and then 30 seconds later, they're eating on the pool deck.
right,
So I
right.
mean, more little kids running around the pool deck probably isn't gonna be a
No.
good idea.
No,
But either way, I think we would have to have a gate to where if
Right. that
they're
they can
playing
have
there, they can
access
come out
to
around and
the
get to the
beach.
pool, right? When it's
Right.
2,000 degrees outside, they want to
Mhm.
go swimming.
So will they
Correct.
come inside the pool area to use the bathroom?
They would have to, yes. Once, mhm.
or if we are thinking about creating a pavilion, then there needs to be a second set of bathrooms. I mean, look, we can't try to develop something here with nothing. Everything has a cost.
Mhm.
And if we want to invite more people need more accommodations. I mean, it's a simple.
How many public
We're
restrooms
gonna
are there
need
that are
more
accessible on
bathrooms.
the outside? Do you know, on the new building? Of the lobby, okay.
Yes, just like.
I have one question. I don't know. Just historical. So years back, we did have a playground structure. Were you there?
I was not,
Okay,
it was.
So
removed
years
prior.
back, maybe, we did have a playground structure at the exact location that it's the grassy area. There was one playground structure there, and near the opposite side of the kiddie pool, there was 2 large swing sets, but they were metal. So the issue was they were getting really hot, the kids would go down the slide and it would literally burn. And that's, you know what, that was like 15 years ago, because that's when my kids were little. So eventually when that deteriorated, the idea then of the district manager and the person that was overseeing was replace it with a wet park area, very similar what you see at Lakes Park. And
Splash
actually,
pad.
I splash pad, which is actually a little bit cheaper. I was just actually pulling up it online, because that's kind of in between. So it would have like that rubbery, instead of the grass would be the rubbery, and then you have, some of the,
Bless
so
you.
that was the idea then that was
Bless you.
that was thrown out there to that board at that time, that instead of doing playground, because even if you do with the plastic, they're gonna be wet and they're gonna run there. So make it that as a playground area. And I believe April was the district manager then, and she did come up with some ideas. And so you wouldn't be duplicating, so kids would still be able to use it as a little, and it was like 2 palm trees, I remember, and then water comes out, like 2 buckets that will automatically, so the kids, will kind of loved it, and they kind of would have probably stay away from the pool and be there. So that's something to consider, but the location, we used to have it at that particular location too. So on both sides, the swing set, there were 2 swing sets that I recall, and then a large play structure by that grassy areas.
It deteriorated quickly as well because of the chemicals just from the
chlorine, yeah.
water onto the metal.
And it was metal. I
Mhm.
do remember being hot. It had no covering, no nothing. So that's something for them to think about. I do want to question. So if you do put a gate though, I know we have Lee County
and then we have the other facility there, so they would have access to it, right? Because they're 24 hours
Yeah.
for emergency.
Yeah,
Because we have,
There's a lock. There's a lock.
Oh, you're talking about this game?
no, like if you guys wanna add a gate, there's nothing that prohibit us because, the water stuff here is not ours, it's actually Lee County.
Right, so we did discuss that, and the idea is they will have a fob for
Okay,
them
and
so they can
same
go.
from the, OAK
Yes,
over there,
yes.
that's, we have three properties that don't belong
Mhm.
to us here, okay, so that's.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we would not deny.
Yeah, I've been, yeah.
The fire.
We
has to-
own road, it's just, we can't, there's private properties. out
Mhm.
there, so. So, I think, going back, touching on historical flooding, touching on historical points. I think perhaps a wet pad or something more water oriented would be better in the grassy area, just from initial perspective, and that if there was water and playground equipment don't necessarily go hand in hand, especially when you have tiny feet that slip. So I think if anything, the playground equipment should be outside of the pool. And then if there's a desire of a wet pad or a fountain squirter, whatever, like Lakes Park, that would go inside.
I still categorize this as a want and not a need. And what we want is what was presented a few years ago where the whole park was all laid out and the community was up in arms. And they said, we don't want to spend all that money. I still think we need to get the needs done. And there are a few things that I think that the community won't complain about. They won't complain about leaving the pool open later because so many people complain that it closes too early. So I think that is a really, top thing, but we probably, just with the things that we need, are approaching $500,000. And it's going to be hard to get the supervisors to even approve that amount.
So I will tell. Bonds, there was some funding set aside, I think it's $100,000. That's within the bonds for the commons construction for parks and rec amenities. And that's on the table. There has been no allocation or dedication of what project or items that is for. In the bond package, we did like a big picture idea, just general, but getting down to specifics, we would look to you all and then the board with final approval, what direction to go forward. So let's keep plugging along because.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So this is just out of the world, and we're not gonna spend too much time on it, I don't think, just because of the astronomical number here. But about 6 months ago, when our old landscape manager was here, we looked into what would it cost to resod the dog parks with artificial sod. Every year we put 30 grand into it, 15 grand into it, just to get it to where it's presentable and usable for the dog park people. But to do it once and have it last 30 years with a pet turf material was something we decided to look at. So to, and I only put this on here because we are talking about the possibility, what if the fun park became the dog park, right? So if you're building something from scratch and you want to have a 30-year lifespan and not have continual maintenance with turf replenishment, then this would come into play. So for those dog parks as they exist now, square footage wise, it's about $400,000. But that's your build out, that's the earthwork, and that's everything. You're done, other than normal maintenance for the next 30 years. Okay, so that's why I put this on here. You can discuss that however you want, or if you don't want to, we don't need to, but it's just something we did look at.
How does artificial turf work with pea?
It's a special turf, and here we go. It's made, this particular one's made for dogs. It's aerated and it's porous. The grass is a little longer, and it bends. So if there's a mess, you can pick it up and you just hose the rest down. Like if there's a little stain left, it hoses down. And the drainage underneath takes over from there, and everything goes away from the actual grass area. I am familiar with this, and it is a great product.
It is a
Nice
nice.
day.
Dogs like to dig, so how do you get around them from?
They can try, but they're not digging through this.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there anyone at the dog park that's a member of the dog park asking for this?
No, this was something we said, you know, what is a number to stop us from going to the dog park and having Mainscapes take care of it and mow it? I mean, the numbers are astronomical when you take into the landscaping, right? And the replenishment is just crazy. And then we have to close the dog park. This would allow us to leave the dog park open every day. We don't have to close it for a month to replenish it or bring in new sod.
Would only consider that personally, that's just my opinion. If we were to create a new dog park at the fun park and start fresh.
Yeah, and
Forget this,
So
the
that's-
the rest.
And yeah, and that's why I put it on. I don't think we would really do it here.
I don't know how much it would cost there.
Well, it's the same square footage.
Same square footage and the earthwork is included because they come in, they strip it, they bring in rock, then they bring in screening sand, which is a real fine sand that lets the water, it's water permeable, and then they put on their surface.
What's your square footage of the existing dog park?
Beats me. Let me see what's on here. How do we get out of here, Chelsea? You took my whole.
Can I ask a question? Is the budgetary item for discussion the one that I presented? Want to move to that since we're talking about about dog park, fun park?
On numbers and priorities on paper, so we can make good use of everyone's time, and then that can be, if that comes as part of it, then sure. Not waste too much time on this.
Yeah.
artificial.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much square footage is it?
It wasn't broken down on the square footage on this particular estimate. They did measure it.
Category D.
Okay,
Well,
so
I
here's
think
a,
I walked the fun park the other day to see how big it is. And I'm just trying to.
oh, you can do this times 3 at the fun park. However, we don't need to.
Okay,
If the dog
okay.
park were to move there, I
I
would
don't think we need to.
be
make
in
it
favor of
times
keeping
three.
it the same size.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
I agree.
And then that leaves us the option to do the Victory
Okay.
Gardens, which everyone seemed to be a
Yeah.
fan of.
Okay.
This was real quick. This is a minimal thing. And we actually have people that would appreciate this and it would bring more people into the bocce courts. This is just to do, we'll call it a surround, right? Where I think we may have talked about this, we're to level off the outside so they don't pitch. They're easier to walk on. We'll put a nice walking surface on it down the middle, which is now a hazard. It's only 2 foot. And the gentlemen and ladies have to walk down the middle and they tend to trip and it's not safe. We would also put a little beyond on the end of the courts with a surround, so we can set a park bench there. They currently have no park bench. All that can be done for about $9,300. This was a price that we put out to Mainscape. I believe we could do this in-house for probably about 30% less than this number, minus the park bench.
It would. I mean, I printed here some things that, ideas for benches and
I have that on here too,
Things like
down
that.
on the bottom of this.
putting a tent, like if people are using the bocce ball court, we should improve it
Yes.
if we can. It's not going anywhere, right? So I would suggest putting some seating all around. Creating a space in the middle so they can walk through while they're playing and covering it with a tent. I think we should look into that.
Okay.
We need to improve something and seriously improve it, not put a little Band-Aid on it.
Well, I think we're
think-
planning, this would encompass what you've said minus the cover, but that's something we can look into. And I think I have,
Would the
prices
bungee
for-
cord ever be moved over to the commons area?
maybe we could add a secondary one there, but
Okay.
until the usage goes up, it's steady but small. If it warrants it at a later date, possibly, but
Like-
that's not something I'd considered.
Where
For
are the other
example, it-
bocce ball courts that are going on? Somebody plays that they don't play over there. We have another set of bocce ball courts.
Where?
I
You-
don't know. I'm asking you.
No, this is the only one as
Those are
part
the
of,
ones you know of.
in Gateway as our amenities, yes.
Okay,
Are there any outside of Gateway? I
I'll-
could
I'll-
not say.
There's some at the
I'm,
club.
I'm right
yes.
beside a guy who plays all the time and he's always trying to get me to play.
Oh, really?
And he's they've got a secret place that they're doing it. So
Well, I have seen some,
find that out.
I've
But-
seen some world-class bocce ball
Yeah,
courts.
The only other thing I would add, there's those two trees that are right by the bocce ball courts. And I know those are a pain because there's somebody who had been given permission to,
Mhm.
you know, put something underneath the tree to, you know, to remember their child or,
So what
or
Dave's
someone in
talking
their
about
family.
is we have, I call them cedar trees for lack of remembering the real name, but they're
Oh,
big
so
bushy
pretty.
trees on either side of the bocce court. They're short, squat and wide. Um, I would love just to rip them out and put a palm tree there a little further out. Problem is, underneath one of them is a memorial, which someone's child died or disappeared. I don't know the story behind it, but there is a memorial marker there. And those folks, as I understand it, did pay to put the tree there. S- That, oh, there's more, yeah.
Side is also.
But what would be,
Couldn't those be moved, those memorials? be
I
moved?
think if you approach if we approach the
We'll put in nice trees and we'll.
family members and
right
do something
underneath,
nice for them, they,
Perpendicular to this.
because to be honest, you can't see the memorial because these were the wrong
I-
trees for that,
Yeah.
you know, application.
Yeah.
So they would probably be amiable to that.
Those need to move.
We had to stand it back up, yeah.
They're awful.
Hmm.
And
I'm
You
just
gotta go
curious,
see
how
how
do you
they're all-
put a
the trees are
memorial
all-
on private land anyway, or
They
public
just
land
out.
anyway?
They went to the board and asked.
everything.
Okay.
So Maria's comment about the sunshade kind of leads us to the next point, which there's been discussion about, from the pool task force, the umbrella at the pool,
Mhm.
or like a shade structure. So if, let's kill two birds with one stone
Mhm.
and
Make it
save
three.
on mauve and demauve and things like that. If that's the desire, then we could, consider ordering two instead of one,
Mhm.
to do that project.
So that's a
The dog
need.
Park though, I mean,
I
you've
think
got-
there's a
You've got
need.
3 of them there. So add the dog park too.
At the
Put it in
pool,
real quick.
are you talking where the circle is that's got the tree in it? Tim,
I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't know.
where are they thinking of placing this?
The umbrella?
Yeah,
So, well, we can place this anywhere.
well, I think they were thinking where the round part is that's got the tree in it now. They were, but so you
Yeah,
need
that-
a price. to
For
think
this
about that.
umbrella, yes, that would be the ideal location.
But you
So a
had-
sunbrella. This link worked earlier without me doing this. It's a 30-foot wide umbrella or 20. They have different sizes. It will close during storms. I think numbers are up to 90 miles an hour. Winds, we do not have to close them, but certainly we would. I've installed these myself. They're easy to install. Staff can do it. They're very reasonably priced. So there's different styles. Something like this, the yellow and blue one would probably be what I would recommend, just 'cause it comes down further and provides more shade. This company also makes, and I don't know if this was on here to Maria's point. Yeah, and this is a great company and I know I have worked with
Yes.
these.
They need-
These are popping up
These are very
everywhere
nice.
around ball fields now. Simple.
We
They
did-
have those
Concrete,
to put up
post.
at their county park.
Yeah, yeah. County and city are all moving to these things
And
and they're very
provide a lot
reasonable.
of shade,
And-
so.
There's a 20 by 30 for $7,600, right? So there's your bocce ball.
Those are-
There you go.
Yeah. So, and the one for the pool, like Dave was saying, if you remember the pool in your head, if you're standing in the lanai and you're looking across, all the way across the lake there, we have a raised planter that's about 12 feet in diameter and it has a couple Christmas palms in it. It was just put into the original design and all it does is inhibit people from using that portion of the deck. If we take that out, put pavers, a nice decorative pavers in there, which are cheaper than concrete, and then mount the post right there for our umbrella, bring in 7 or 8 more chairs and we're good to go.
Just one.
one umbrella, and if it gets used, we can look at more, because these aren't crazy.
I think the pool just needs a couple of umbrellas that are just regular umbrellas that you can put on the two.
You
Yeah.
had mentioned that, and
Yeah,
those are reasonable.
And
I
get
can,
like 7 or 8 of them.
and
that's
we
it.
can-
And you don't even have to do that.
then let's recommend that,
Yeah.
because
I would
I think
recommend
we're
that,
looking at
because now
about,
it's, you have it spread out. Now you can only have, one groups there and that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we're looking with base and umbrella, probably around $400 for those each.
Like that.
So it's not, that's
I
not
like
crazy.
better.
Yeah.
Let's recommend.
All
that.
right, so the next one, I'm glad we got to your shade over the bocce though. This is just something tiny that, I mean, I
Just
don't,
do it.
it's, so we already have posts at the dog park where once existed a canopy. For $300, staff could install this.
Go for that one.
Do it.
Yep, me too.
And new fencing around the perimeter of the pool deck. Now, we've had a real hard time getting contractors out, just because of everyone's still doing hurricane work. We did have, 2 contractors came out, only one even bothered to give us a price, and this is these prices. So Chelsea had talked about, a chain link fence, which we're certainly entertaining, but this was prior to that discussion, and this is replacing the existing fence in the same location, right? But with a nicer, taller, unclimbable fence, gate latches, which we need to do quickly, exit latches, because we're out of code on that.
Mhm.
And we're looking at the total here is $20,000. And that includes the gates with the easy exit access points. But I would, before you guys say that's a good price, let's do it, I would like to entertain Chelsea's idea, what she had, of moving the fence, and I don't know who all we talked about with this, but instead of having the fence around the perimeter of the pool, as it is now, the idea would be to move the fence out. So take down the one that's there, and then you have the deck, the landscaping. Beyond that, maybe 15 feet out would be a fence. So now you've incorporated the landscaping into the pool area. And down the road, if we wanted to expand the deck or anything else, we would have that option.
I think that's a good idea, because if we develop something to that land, the pool is inadequate. And if we're going to go through the cost to replace a fence, might as well do it right. And if we add any sort of, kids playing fountain, trees, whatever, to the other side, maybe we can
Yeah,
take
you
some
should
of that
pull
space.
down a little
Right.
bit. Yeah, if you're gonna replace the fence, you might as well push it out 10 feet. I mean,
Push it out a little.
what's
Yeah,
the, what are you gonna do? You
Yeah.
get a little,
right.
couple
So-
more feet of fencing. with
The
it.
idea was to try to save some money and use the existing fencing, like on the back side of the pool is an 8-foot fence. And try to continue that around, perhaps using existing fencing. It's in decent condition.
Decent, yeah.
The poles, I mean, would be the things that we'd have to get new and sink those in and then just pull it around, but not have it up like you feel caged in, have it set out. Go to any other pool in the county and they that's pretty much what they've got. But if the board does, want more aesthetically pleasing fence, we can do that. We can get prices on that. It's just gonna cost more money, but at a minimum, we have to get to compliance. DOH has not come down on us, for being out of compliance for the height of the fencing, but, we of course don't want them to tell us we wanna be ahead of the game.
Just for liability reasons, we need to get it updated.
Okay.
You're grandfathered in right now.
We're grandfathered
Whatever-
in.
Whatever's there. is-
And I don't know how it works, but God forbid something were to happen. I don't know how far grandfather is gonna go to help us if there's a liability issue, you
I
know?
think one of the things we were thinking about, technology wise, we're trying to find a better way to secure the pool.
Mhm.
And, so the fence wasn't the key thing. It was other ways that we can,
Yes,
people from
more
coming in.
cameras,
and whatever.
grip
I don't
wires, so
foresee
they're,
Anybody
yeah.
extending.
Wires.
Well, when you cross the line, the cameras go on and record and do things, and there's a lot of technology out there. Yeah, yeah.
I don't see anybody, supporting extending the pool since we're still trying to get people to come.
Right.
Okay, but in the front, the only thing we have a problem with is, we have no problem with all the way around the 3 sides back and 2 sides. but how the front's gonna look when you approach it. Not what you see from the inside, because people don't pay, they're paying attention to the inside, then what it looks like when you come up to it. The white fence is nice now,
Right.
you know?
Do you think that's something that could be solved by some
By a
landscaping
nicer fence along the front.
on the front? So
Along-
that two
just the
hundred foot section, could, you're saying make that a little nicer, going back down the side, we're not so
Nobody-
concerned.
Nobody cares about that, and you're gonna be messing with that when you do stuff to the park anyway, like if you put the kids' play area out there,
Mhm.
unless you extend the restrooms, but you could build another set of restrooms and not have to run your piping and all that stuff
Mhm.
all the way across the field.
On the back of
But
the,
you
yeah,
could do that right to the other side, on the back side of where it is now at the pool. And then people don't have to come through the pool or into the pool from the play area.
Yes,
And, we were talking about building a new, bathroom over at the fun park anyway. So to me, I'd rather see you build it over there and then let people have a basketball court or whatever, or a play area and come and use that.
so they'll have their own bathrooms, they
Rather
don't have to
than
drop
come
into the
through
pool.
and Find another way to get cards and get people in and out of the area, which, if they're gonna complain about, being inside the pool anyway, then, it would be one way to just make the two divided.
Yeah, so the next one is, I need currently to replace some park benches. One's gone missing completely because it just fell apart. We had to take it down. It was a hazard. I have one in the fun park, which is rusting through, and if you sit on it, you're gonna pull your clothes, if not cut your leg. So I started researching park benches. The ones I looked at and the ones I would recommend from a long-term life and maintenance perspective is these. They're all aluminum. See if this came up. Why'd that one come up? I put the wrong one on there?
Not open.
Yeah.
Could you use these for what are they asking for at the dog park? Just buy more.
No, that's not it.
Or is
Yeah,
that
they were
just
talking about-
chairs?
We were just talking about
That's the
chairs.
place- place
too.
But,
No, that isn't.
but if people
Oh,
are
how
stealing
weird. Why
chairs
is
to
this-
play soccer.
Oh, that's.
they can bolt
I
in.
don't have a picture of this one.
Yeah.
So these are, I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of that one. These are, so the idea is these are all aluminum. Aluminum will not rust, right? So the ones we traditionally have used are either call them fiberboard, the really heavy plastic ones. Those last for a fair amount of time. The problem is they all end up sagging. And when you have the gaps in between them, people tend to not like that on the slats in the seat. These are a mesh material seat with backs, but there's no arms, so you can slide all around. You get 3 people on a bench. Even the ones we have now that are powder coated, they're metal underneath, so they rust and they've popped up powder coating off. So those are not what we want. I don't want to do the same thing again. It's been done before. These are a little more expensive. They do have a warranty for, I believe these are a 3-year warranty, which is unheard of for a bench that sits outside. And it's aluminum and they're set in concrete in the ground, so no one can move them.
That's good.
So we don't have to go with this, but I just wanted to give you a reasonable product at what it costs.
I mean, when I was doing some research about the mulchable, that kind of stuff, I found this perforated steel park bench and it's like $650. So I don't remember the life expectancy, but if we can buy 3-4 of those with the cost of one, maybe we can replace them more often. And I see what you're saying, but for 3 years, I think that's a lot. $2,500.
No,
Or
the
only-
3-year warranty.
Warranty.
These benches were, I mean, honestly, they should
They
last
last forever.
20 years.
Oh, okay.
Because aluminum doesn't rust. It does.
Okay.
We're not around salt, so it's not gonna
Okay.
oxidize, right?
Okay.
So these, yeah. But whatever you have, I'd love to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Last thing I have, and this is something I think everyone's sort of in favor of. I've looked up, let me see if I can pull this one up. Hopefully something will work. So just as an idea, high in the sky, this is how I would envision the Victory Gardens looking. This is a 5 foot long by 30 inches high by 2 foot across planter, right? So if we were to buy 21 of those, and you could lease them out where someone, they go down a line. You can buy two, or you can buy one or lease them, right? Now, these are expensive, and everything I looked at is pre-built is very expensive. So I go, this is insane. These are $2,500 a piece. I think $2,250, right? Yeah, that's nuts. But I priced it out to the screw, what it would cost us and labor in-house to do it. I can build these out of Trex wood, which is the composite wood, so it'll be very long lasting, and we're looking at probably $1,200 a piece to do that. This is just something piggybacking on what you all had come up with the Victory Gardens. So I'm not saying we need 21. We could start with 10 and say, how is this working? What is the cost benefit? How much is the lease? And what kind of maintenance is entailed? But if we do want to go forward with that, these are the numbers you're looking at.
What about irrigation?
We
So
would
I-
have to bring in irrigation. We have water there. There's a main there. That's a relatively and we got utilities.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
That is a, what, not a need. And then I think some of the conversation was also going to be that people would be renting the space, so that would be a source of income to offset expense.
So that's all I had. And I don't know if you all had time to come up with other ideas. I know Maria threw out a couple that we touched on. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to? And I could put some numbers together quickly. If you have ideas, I can research it, tack it onto here, or whatever you decide you'd like to move forward with. And we can just take it from there.
So again, these were just ideas from the staff perspective. This meeting is about you, and what you all have, your ideas and what you envision of the parks and rec amenities within Gateway. What improvements can be done in the immediate, short term, and then in the long term. But we are gearing up with budget. So ideally, we're looking for guys' ideas, and don't already have a price for it, based on previous meetings and ideas that were brought up. The Victory Gardens as a perfect example. We will get those, and if we need to meet again, the board has to set their high water mark on June 15th at the absolute latest. The board did set a workshop for May 16th. 2 weeks from now, it's a Tuesday at 3. So ideally, I would like to have your feedback, and giving staff enough time to go look at, true costs, if it's benching, whatever it may be, playground equipment, get closer, better estimates than, some from 5 months ago, because the market is saying, but are there initiatives? Do you want to go site by site? Or, or is there just any general comments about what has been presented thus far?
Can I move on to my proposal?
That's,
Okay.
Carlo, that's up to you.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, so I had the opportunity to go to the dog park. Now, I don't have a dog. I used to have a dog, but I don't have a dog, and I've never used a dog park. But I've gone down there a few times to see what goes on at the dog park. And what goes on at the dog park part is a small part of what goes on the dog park. There were a lot of senior citizens that were sitting under the trees there. They were gathering, they were talking amongst themselves, they were playing cards, they were picnicking. So the bottom line is the dog park is also a social haven for people to gather. Now, on the weekends, when that area is inundated with cars and soccer people aren't gathering for those social activities. There isn't much dog activity that I saw because it's just overwhelmed. And so I would really think that we should go for the Gusto. We have the area in the fun park, and I think as a group, we should recommend to the Board of Supervisors to go for the Gusto, spend the money, and move the dog park over to the fun park. Now, we could do it with grass, and basically, I have a diagram of how I laid it out if you wanted to go to that. But it would basically take up the grass volleyball court, which is useless because there's a tree right there. And so you could see the dog park run that I had And then if you go down a little lower, this is a doggy pool that we have over at the Cypress Trail RV Resort where we keep our motor coach. But basically, your immediate expense would be putting up a fence and some park benches. You have a beautiful tree that's there to provide for shade. Now, the other part of the equation is I put bathroom. Now, I know that every time I bring it up, it gets chuckles. I did a Google search of the importance of bathrooms in a park, and I came up with an article which was not written by me. And this is what it says. Public restrooms are often the most important amenity in a park. Many people will avoid using a park or revisit it less often if the restrooms are either unavailable or inadequate. Providing a restroom for your visitors is generally recommended if you can afford it. Okay, so I have a whole stack here that I'll give to Tim, which is a company that specializes in bathrooms for parks with all sorts of, different styles. This is a typical park two-holer with plumbing. This is not a pit style. It has plumbing. And the building structure itself is somewhere around $35,000 to $40,000 for the building. And I would estimate that probably to bring in sewer lines, water lines, that you might have a $75,000 expenditure just to put a two-room bathroom over there. And this blends in with the motif of the park. And so I really think that we should figure out what this type of project would cost. In the yellow block, I added some additional parking that we would need. The basketball court can stay there. Obviously, it probably wouldn't be used as a basketball court, but it could be painted over and you could put whatever you would want over there. I preserved the playground area, which is to the right of the dog room. Between the back border of the dog run with the pool, you could do plantings of things like arbicola or whatever, so that there's a visual barrier between the neighbors' homes and the dog park. It'll also not be also in addition to be a visual barrier, it would also be a sound barrier. And I think we should work up a price for this. I think this entire project, without the artificial turf to start, you could probably do it for under 100,000. And I think that is something that the Board of Supervisors, would meet their budgetary things. And I think the community would stand behind it.
So let me just chime in. So Rob is actually online. So I don't know if you guys want to vote to allow him to participate for extenuating circumstances.
They already did it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I just want to read, he's put two comments up here with regards to this item. He says it's a great idea, move it and rebuild with turf, all in favor. And then that was a couple minutes ago. And then he said he would move the dog park further to the right up against the FP restoration fence line.
I mean, that's fine. The final, this is a conceptual picture that I created. But I was really surprised when I went to the dog park. I just thought it was going to be a place for people to run their dogs. It's a social venue. I could not believe all the people sitting under the oak trees enjoying the afternoon while their dogs were doing their thing. And I think that the public would welcome it, particularly those people, because now they don't have to compete with the soccer folks, particularly on the weekend. It also solves what Tim brought up. You need more parking spaces at the soccer field area. And so it alleviates, it resolves that issue. And I put this in the area of a need. And I would go for the gusto and say to the Board of Supervisors, this is what you need to do.
I can work up some prices. I like what you've got here. I would say it's probably gonna be well over $100,000, but it doesn't matter. Let's get some numbers together.
Yeah.
Put it back to you guys and we'll tweak it. And if that's what you guys want to do, you
Well,
can,
let's hear from the committee.
I think it's a good idea, but I mean, there's already a dog park there. I think we should start building up some amenities. You have a playground that's gonna fail in 6 months. Basketball court is garbage, basically. So I think we should start putting some of that stuff by the pool and then do that afterwards. I mean, it's a good idea. You need parking. But I think there's some other things that need to be done first.
So you're saying,
Yeah.
take the basketball, we'll get rid of that and maybe bring it or something like that up to the pool area.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying to take money away for the allocations for the pool.
No,
I'm saying go for that too.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But we are not adding a dog park, we are moving the dog park. And that solves two issues. It solves the parking area that's needed at the soccer field. And I think it'll be a better venue for the people that utilize the dog park.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, but is there another 100,000 in the budget this year?
You never know unless you ask.
Yeah, you
Got
could
it.
ask,
And then we
definitely,
could
of course,
phase it.
but
Phase it.
That's what you guys are doing.
We'll ask and phase it. You know, like the
Right.
one, then maybe next year we have to do the other one. Maybe the dog park, you would do just one park. I'm so happy you didn't build a building in that spot, because last time we met,
Okay.
there was all this creeping building. And the dog park thing, I used to compete in agility, and there's no place around here that you can really do that. So I'm saying move that yellow line more to the left for your fence, and it's a great activity for people to do with their dogs. And you're right about the social thing, dog people, together. So I like it.
And it solves one of our problems.
Yes.
What do we want to do with the fun park
Mhm.
that's not being utilized?
Yep.
It'll make me happy because you have a bathroom.
you just wanna.
you must go walking there. You must, you
It
must.
is such a social thing. Why don't
But-
we ask also for like a couple like tables and chairs and umbrellas for people to sit, and maybe they're gonna play chess while or something while their dog is playing, or, they're just kaputzing around. Make it.
I
little
was
bit
surprised. I was really surprised at the social aspect of the dog park. When I went there, it's like, what are those people doing there? Socializing.
We have about 200 dog park members.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I guess on the third, I fully support that. I think, killing two birds with one stone, solving a huge parking issue here. I mean, you can always, when you pass by, you can see the cars overfloating. And it's, the dog park is not in good working order anyway. It's in disrepair. So why not move it instead of spending money fixing it and solving the issue? And I think it's a quiet solution for the neighbors at the fun park. Perfect use for it. Before
Too bad,
Parking.
too bad Mr. Moore is not here. I think that's his neighborhood.
Yeah, because dogs do bark.
And
It's the
I
only-
can't speak for him, but I do believe he'd be in favor of that. I think.
He's actually the one that, I don't want to say something, but when I met with him, he's the one that had the original talk to Cheryl about putting there. So,
Clearly he's for it.
Paid before it? Oh, that'd be
So,
great.
Yeah,
Rob
it'd be favorable.
said gardens/chess or backgammon tables/dog park. Make the fun park a more adult/senior oriented park.
There you go.
And there are some great ideas here that the people suggested, I guess, in the previous meeting
Yeah.
about
I can pull those up for you.
people that I have here, I have it printed out. It says new Bermuda sod for large dog park only. Purchase of new, better quality chairs by residents. Donor will ask that dog name be added to chair. That's a great idea to not spend a whole lot of money, like, let's say me and Susan can donate a bench together and we'll just have the names of our dogs on there, and that way we can generate a little bit of income and people will be happier. I think that's a great idea to incorporate. Tarp covering for right side, well, okay, for this, but we can have some, like a small tent, the cost, I don't feel it's huge, at the fun park. As part of the encouraging people to socialize.
Yeah, I didn't understand what she meant about chairs, but I think the idea of a bench that you can bolt down to
Right.
a piece
Yeah.
of concrete would be
Yeah.
better. Because the
Mhm.
chairs are gonna, they have legs, but they'll walk.
Sure.
So,
We can have,
Yeah.
I would like to see like a covered area, whether it be small or large, like a small cover area, utilize a tent like the ones we looked at earlier and put a couple of benches, a little table so people can socialize while the dogs are doing what they need to do. And I think that's great. Again, I'm all in favor for moving it and developing the new area that way.
I would also think you could probably move the memorials that are by the bocce courts. I don't think that people would object to that, to move to the front. And then that'll also solve your issues with how do we go about dealing with trees.
We'll just have to, I'm sure we have their information somewhere. We could reach that subject.
yeah, are they there for a specific reason? Like, was there a reason that one of the children played in that area, like you said? So they're in that location for,
Yeah.
I did not. Pick that, put a new tree and then move it back to that place.
It would be very nice.
Okay, so is there direction from the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee with regards to that, what, Bob presented? Just give some direction and put together some pricing.
No, I think it's a good idea. I mean, to move it, if you're gonna upgrade it, if you're gonna spend 400,000 for that, to leave it there, might as well move it, spend a little less.
yeah. So, but the recommendation would be to move the basketball, get a decent basketball court, move it up to the pool,
Right.
and
Maybe playground.
the playground to the pool, volleyball to the pool. People play volleyball. I've seen it.
Yeah, I've never
Um,
seen anybody playing that, but I'm sure they do.
And
And
then,
they would.
Yeah.
especially because pool,
Maybe some
volleyball, they kind of go
pickleball
together.
courts.
Oh, pickleball. That's like, we're the nation's capital of
Yeah,
pickleball, guys.
Yeah, pickleball.
Think so. And then, yeah, the dog park.
I mean, since we open it up to recommendations, I would like to see pricing out and start developing that land next to the pool. I would like to see a pavilion built, which is not a big expense. I mean, the least we can do is ask for it, guys. I mean, we can't have anything for nothing. I would ask for it. I would like to start with a pavilion built there. I would like to see a nice playground put adjacent to that, right? A pavilion right next to the water would be amazing. It will allow for people to build a pavilion in the corner there. Will allow for people to be able to sit and use the grassy area and start generating some income, possibly. And then I would like to see the playground built in that general area. But there has to be a bigger plan to allow for the proper development. And we have to work on that. I understand that the previous large plan scared people, but we're not gonna start with all that. We're gonna start with a small part of it. And in order to start and not, and avoid pitfalls in the future, there has to be a bigger plan in works. We have to get pricing for that. And, okay, we're gonna do something to, improve the bocce court, relocate the dog park. We need to create a play area, even at 123,000 to me to accommodate 50% of the Gateway population is not a lot of money. We're not a small community. So we're not looking to do things on a $5,000 budget here. We have a lot of thousands of people to accommodate. So that's what I would like to see. I would like to see development and a plan, looking at the bigger picture and start doing something. I mean, we can meet here forever and go around and around the same old things, but unless we start doing something and ask for something.
But
not
right
gonna
now,
get anything.
if you were to give me direction, it would be to, and I will do this. So you're saying, let's get a price on moving the dog park with the amenities we spoke about.
Absolutely. build a
I-
playground in
When
that
when we
larger
do
area.
that, we will try to, we would have to incorporate turning that into a parking, right?
Mhm,
Okay, so that'll be
absolutely.
part of it. Move the basketball, volleyball, and possibly a band shell or a pavilion at
Correct.
the pool. Okay.
At the pool. And, I go walking at the, elongated, park.
The
So,
trail.
right. So I would like to see, I lived up north and there was a long park trail that we used. And it was wooded area. Nevertheless, alongside it, there were benches to sit and rest. There were, games, developmental games for children along, like a mother with a couple of kids in a stroller can go strolling around there. And there were little games, stop areas that children could stop, and some of them would play music, some of them would just be putting things together. I think we need to develop that a little bit more too. It's being used right now, people are walking, biking. If we put something along the way, and then maybe later on, who knows, maybe even a bathroom. But put something, a point of interest along the way, a place to stop and relax. I think there needs to be, people walk their dogs there as well. There needs to be little doggy stations. They're not expensive. I would like to start doing something on that too.
So, just to kind of recap the priorities that I'm hearing is to shift the dog park to the fun park. To
Create a parking spot
create the
right
par-
here.
create the parking. To move the basketball court / volleyball court to commons.
Create a playground
The playground
in the commons.
at the commons. I will tell you with the picture that you see in front, the admin building will take up really the majority of this area. But there may be some opportunity in the green space for this park pavilion. And then the playground, which was anticipated to be here. Those are things that would not disrupt the admin building, but just keep in mind, if and when we go under construction, I mean, it's the construction project. I mean, they can have fencing up, but you have the commingling of people, construction.
May I just throw out there that if we were to consider a pavilion out there, and I just want to know what is the interest or what would be the usage of that? For music venues, or are you looking just more for a shade where you can meet your friends,
Picnic or
picnics?
No.
And the reason I'm asking is if you're gonna do it, we don't have to go big, but where the orange spot is down here, right here by the lake, well removed from any homes. If you were to put it there, it would open up a very good opportunity in the near future to develop this area with benches and other things for not a large cost. As opposed to here, where I think what Chelsea was saying, you'll have a lot more construction traffic here for the next several years. As back here, you would not.
That's the whole idea. That's what we were talking about, putting it down here and then
Down by.
there's all
Yeah.
this event lawn that is available that people could utilize.
we, the-
But I would incorporate, to answer your question, sorry, both music and you can do anything with that. Definitely incorporate music.
the sod definitely needs to be addressed.
Oh my
but
gosh.
landscaping,
Yeah, our ant farm.
You can rent it out for weddings.
You know, it's a beautiful backdrop.
It is
right there.
beautiful.
It really is.
Beautiful.
So was there, I mean, did that kind of recap I mean, cause what
Yeah.
ultimately the board's
Turn
gonna,
at the fun part.
the board,
It's at the pool.
the board's gonna ask for a priority list and then, you know, I wanna be able to give them your priority list and the dollar value associated to those.
I think that the automated gates to protect the soccer complex are a must. I think, the repair of the
light.
replacement of the benches, the lights are a must. Just from my notes. let's see, there's umbrellas,
Umbrellas and-
the bocce ball court, Reno is a must. I would add to the bocce ball. I would really add and make it much better. I would add shade. I would add a lot more benches. Add the space in the middle so it's utilized better. The fence, perimeter to the pool, I think that's a must. And if you ask me, we're a little already overdue for everything we're asking, so to me, everything's a must.
Let me see if I can do
All right.
this as we're
Gotta
going.
create a document as we're going.
Yes.
I have one other thing. The thing that keeps, plaguing my head is utilization of space. And it was talked before, Ed said, oh, well, we did it organically in the community. And Chelsea, you say, well, it's your job to get people interested in this. It's like, I don't sit around talking to everybody in my neighborhood saying, oh, we've got to do this. stuff. It's just like, that's not me. I would like to see, and I don't even know what you call it, but it would be, a group. You know how developers have an activities director person, someone that actually, and this is to get it started. Get the community interested. We talked about, I'm not on Facebook. I don't do Twitter. I don't get a newspaper. Sorry, but I am part of your community. I don't know what the heck's going on here. So we need to find a way to get, and I think there's probably a consultant that could be hired. I don't know who it is. I don't know how you do it, but at least could get it started, kick-started, because you are gonna need an amenities person if you are gonna have these things and you maintain these things. Because if you're gonna book things at your activities room in your admin space, who's gonna book that? Is that gonna be, is that gonna,
So I think we've started to address that with the Facilitron. As we bring on more amenities, they will just slide right into our platform and people can rent online.
but how do I know? I don't
Agreed.
know about it.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, nobody goes to the fun park, nobody. I know people do your little boat thing, but it's kind of very specific. Yes, soccer's hot. But what about, nobody knows, I don't think anybody knows, hardly anybody knows that the pool is free. That was a huge thing. It's like, how can the word get out
Yeah,
about the
parking
community so that we
spaces.
use this stuff? And then that, if they're all hot for it, then they'll wanna spend
So I
the money.
had not considered this until this very moment when you brought it up.
Yeah.
What about a centrally located message board for the community? On Gateway Boulevard, when you drive by it, we show events, we say, hey,
Doesn't
don't
look like
forget
Las
about
Vegas.
this.
Oh, gosh.
What's that?
As long as it doesn't look like Las Vegas with.
No,
one
no,
of those
no, I'm not
electronic
talking
boards.
it's lit up.
Okay.
Something where we can go manually and change it every week. Right? Not a McDonald's board, burgers here, but, and please, ideas, you
Yeah.
just made me
Yeah, I
think
mean,
about
yeah.
that. But
Maybe. I'd have
look,
to
I
think
get
about
I get a daily shopper in my driveway every week and it goes right in the trash. So no matter what we send out, people aren't gonna read it,
Right.
right? But if they're driving past it and they can't not read it, why not?
that. Yeah, maybe.
See, I think everybody gets a printed water bill. You can incorporate it in there.
Most people have opted for digital.
Really?
Yes.
I opted for that and I still get a printed water bill.
You will for this go around because we have requirements that we have to follow, but most folks have opted for digital.
I think it's a different, it's like a service and it's a service that helps. And I'm sure there's services that help develop it. Developers have their own amenities people. I was in amenities development and we had, I don't know, so, cause then you're gonna create your own club and maybe it can run by itself, but you gotta create it and get people to come.
We do, and honestly, that's part of what my job is. So that's why I'm trying to take all these ideas and the more we do, the more people will come, and then the more opportunity we have to start different clubs and different things and do all these activities. So.
And sell all this money that we
it's,
wanna
it's
spend.
a lot to work on, but we will get there.
Yeah.
But I totally hear you. We've gotta get the Parks and Rec out to the community.
Yeah, cause it's a nice thing. I was like, it's nice to know. Wouldn't it be cool to know that, oh, Joe and Sally are gonna be at the dog park playing cards, but we don't know that, and it would be I guess people do it on Meetup, but even meetups are really lame here.
That's about, so I'm thinking in me,
Cause Carol asked me to fill in for her because she was not gonna be able to come in today. So, that is a great idea. We used to have that prior to both of you guys, so just so you know, there were two locations that we used to post, um, the meeting sign. It was on Gateway Boulevard
Oh,
and it was on Griffin.
informational.
And it was a sign that big and it
what-
said this Thursday, the sign, it was a sign that Al used to go out there and do it. So I think that is a great idea. Pickleball and put it
Yeah.
aside, cause staff used to do that. And then it got damaged by one of the storms maybe 7 years ago and we never replaced it. So that is great. I will step out. I think it would be really helpful because we are meeting on the 16th. How, the same way that you send out that spreadsheet for the board, that you're gonna send out for the board with initiatives, if you could create that spreadsheet and send it to them, because they could think of other things between now and the 16th, and they
Mhm.
could just add it, and just send it to you and
For capital.
for capital, because I think that is still like, I think Carlo kind of mentioned, there are monies in the 2023 budget that can be used for some of those little stuff. Done, that,
Mhm.
so that can be done. And then what the board is really looking for it's almost like, I don't wanna say it, but almost like, don't think of the money, think of the needs and wants. And then let the board make that decision, what can we afford this, what can we trim it or not? So the June 5th, 6, 15 will be like, almost like the wish list, tell us everything, that doesn't mean that's gonna be there. The board will make the, financial decision and a responsible decision at that
Right.
time, but think of what the needs want. But I think also, once Laura is able to give the money, the balance for those categories, send that out to them, because that's, hey, we have $50,000 in the dog park. What can we do right now? Because then they can come out with those little ideas for this year and do
So
it now.
To her point, the bond money, we have the bond money. It's just a matter of coming up with an idea and executing it. So beyond the bond projects and that funding, which we can get you that bond sheet, how much is dedicated for each, and the description that we kind of put in there. This budget would be above and beyond
Mhm.
the bond stuff.
Right.
The bond, it's more for Parks and Rec amenities. It's not necessarily, it covers some benches and things like that, but, we'll get that information. But I've listed out between what you guys have discussed here, what the pool task force submitted, what, the dog park members submitted, what, Mr. Lewis submitted. So, and we can chat through this right now, add more to it, and then maybe we can just run down this list and prioritize it.
I think
Let's not think
both.
about money. Let's
Both.
not think about money.
Both.
I don't see my bad.
We'll put that with the dog park.
Do you guys have any questions for me? Like any stuff? Okay,
And she went right billboard for lack of, not knowing
Yeah.
what else
Oh,
to
yeah.
call it.
Yeah,
Right.
We are proposing for the utilities and public works, it's called a variable message board. It's that ugly orange construction sign that changes, but, from the utility standpoint, we need that, and those are about $16,000. So, but that's something when events come up,
Alright, thanks.
Thank you.
No problem.
for you,
thank you.
just as an FYI.
Okay, can we go down this list and prioritize and then
Yes.
add?
Yeah, we just put, what do you want to do? Pick 1, 2, 3, 4, one.
I would just, put the parking lot construction immediately under the dog park. If everyone agrees,
Because they will be in conjunction.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The automatic gate at the soccer
So
field.
now would that automatic gate replace the need to pay the sheriff more money to come swing through?
They won't be making nightly swings, and at least I
And
don't
now,
think.
how much is that a year? did you say?
I did not
About.
realize you were paying that much. Did you say $150,000?
Well, that's the budget,
That's the
but,
entire
Okay,
community
budget.
though.
so what do you think that is, like 20,000 to go through for the year or something?
In other words, how much would we save?
Yeah, how much, if you're gonna take 20,000 away, then spending 30,000 is a no-brainer. If it's gonna last
I
10
agree.
years. But
Well,
if,
there's still you can put it on, we talked round and round with this. So you can put a gate in, but the actual enforcement of telling people to get out is there's still a need.
right,
So unless
So they
somebody
just have
comes
to
in.
be in there before 10:15.
Right.
But if you go to any other, yes, and if you go to any other Parks and Rec amenity or park, like take Correction State Park. They're closed at dusk. Their park rangers shut the gates at dusk. We don't do that.
Right.
man. I mean,
But it will start to program behavior.
Right,
And then,
exactly.
and then at that point, we can look and go, okay, we do need staff to run through here at 10:05 and start chasing people out.
It's not
Yeah.
going to
And
happen
and again,
overnight.
as to Dave's point, we could do that with technology too.
Yeah,
There
and
can be a message that comes on the speakers.
Yeah,
Okay,
Right.
can we elaborate in what we need to go into those now or in our next
no,
meeting?
do it now. Absolutely.
Okay, so I would suggest, if everyone agrees, dog park to the fun park with the turf. With covered,
Turf, natural, yes,
Right.
yes.
next,
natural turf. An area the dogs can dig if like a sandbox or something
oh, they won't dig
to
there.
that.
Sandbox,
They'll
yeah.
dig
Right.
wherever they want.
And natural turf, yeah.
A area with benches that is covered. And maybe a picnic table in the middle so people can sit and enjoy themselves and play a game.
Does the dog park now have a dog wash, so you can wash your dog off when
They
it's all
have
dirty?
A hose.
Okay,
Each one has a hose, yeah.
okay, a hose.
I don't know that they
concrete.
use it for that. Mostly they fill dog bowls with it, but.
Okay.
Would you want to
It would
put
look
in?
there's
like
access
that.
to water.
Yeah,
So, we actually talked to Cheryl, who's the, what do you call it, the czar of the dog park. She's the liaison between us and all the members. And Chelsea actually offered to put some reasonably priced little kiddie pools in there. We could bury them, make them look nice.
But
And
that, I.
but she said, you know what, first she was very excited about it, but then she emailed later and said, yeah, that's not gonna work.
It's gonna be
Bad.
filthy, bro.
It's gonna be
Oh,
filthy.
bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's something we can look at, but we can always add that later.
So just a proper dog wash station, maybe a little bit more
Already
organized,
something.
that you can bring your towel and,
Yeah.
wash your dog off there, wash it over in the sand or rinsing
Yeah.
station. I like to include the donation of the benches with the dog names.
That'd be a great thing to open the park.
Mhm.
We're opening the park, who would
Yeah,
love that?
exactly.
I think.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So- Right now, and this may be a question for Cheryl, we have a small dog area and a large dog area, but most they intertwine and the small dog area really doesn't get used that much. I don't know if it would be beneficial to keep them separate.
You need to.
You need
I
to,
guess I-
for the safety of the smaller dogs.
I hate to say this,
That's good.
but in an unorganized fashion, I don't take my dog to an open dog park, but I'll take it to do agility because everybody has the
Right.
dog held
Mhm.
on to. So
How about how expensive are those? Are you?
oh, I wouldn't go there,
Oh,
not yet.
okay.
We have
Let's-
one little
Okay,
pipe
let's-
for the dogs to go through over there and it's never been used.
No,
So-
the agility equipment is very specialized and you don't want to go
Okay.
there right now.
So, does that cover the dog park?
I
You
think
gotta-
so. And then see what other notes we had on. that.
Benches covered.
Covered area? Did we
Secure.
Cars,
put a-
bathroom. Oh, chess tables / backgammon /
Yeah.
checkers for the folks,
Mhm.
maybe by the benches.
Yep,
Yeah, table games.
They could get concrete tables.
Oh, yes, whatever we get, it's gonna last forever.
That fencing at Eagle Point's pretty nice that they're putting in now.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be a good thing to say to the community, we're gonna use this type of fence around the dog park.
We
So
can,
it
we
blends
can
in
look at
with-
that.
It blends in with the neighborhood.
The only concern there would be, we need to make sure that the pickets are within a distance of each other,
They
that small
seem to be.
dogs couldn't get through, but
Yeah.
there's certainly
They-
something.
They seem to be, when I drive by, I'm going,
It's a nice fence.
I think you should also add under dog park a vegetation, visual and sound barrier
for the neighbors.
for the neighbors,
So a nice hedgerow of some thick,
something.
areca palms stop everything.
I think
And
they
it's
will
up to
like
the
it.
air, so.
Yeah, it will give them privacy and,
Okay.
I
okay,
think that's it for the dog park.
so the parking lot,
I think you need to define that the parking lot will be where the dog park is vacated.
right,
Dogs are kind.
You're a machine on this thing.
And I have
um,
2 fingers.
You're, no way.
automatic gate,
Vacated.
okay. So the bocce ball, I think, needs to be next, maybe?
Well, while we're on the dog park, and I just saw that, shall you consider the Victory Gardens at the same time? If you're building it out, because there's still gonna be an acre and a half open. And
Yeah,
if,
you may as well.
and if that's gonna be our money generating park,
May as well.
it could at least pay something.
Yep,
Mhm.
put it in.
Sure.
But if you could only have one versus the other, you take the dog park first.
Yeah, we're
Certainly.
gonna,
Right.
yeah.
I'm just saying that we're not prioritizing quite yet.
Not yet.
Right.
Yeah,
So but the Victory Gardens, we were talking about, there's a Victory Garden, not a, I don't even what you call it. But it's
Can we-
basically a place where everybody can rent a place, 8x8 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they can plant whatever they want within that 8x8. And,
Can we not put the Victory Gardens as part of the dog park?
no, that's what I'm
Put
saying.
it as a separate item?
Separate.
Keep it as
Chelsea.
a separate item.
Rob asked how many extra parking spots we would get at the dog
I
park.
think we have
maybe.
10 and 2 handicaps now.
No. If the dog park goes away,
Right.
how many we could put in that space? So
There's
we just
something
have to do
wrong.
the measure and 9x18 it out.
Oh, in the new space, yes, well, I'll have to find out.
TBA.
Yes.
Can we
I
move
think
that
that's
Victory
actually-
Gardens out of the
Yeah.
dog
Yeah,
park,
make
please?
Yeah.
You want it its own? You want it number
Yeah.
2?
Sure.
And like maybe right adjacent to the dog park, the new dog park. Um,
The lighting at the pool needs to go
Yeah.
before launching.
Before, I was just gonna say that. The lighting and the shade.
Lighting and then shade?
Yeah.
No, and I would just do the pool repair altogether. The pool
Pool
lighting, the cameras, the shade and the fence.
Don't those few amenities that are at where the dog park's gonna go have to be moved first before the dog park can go in?
Well, yeah.
Now you're gonna move the dog park and then you got nothing.
Right. Although I don't think there's gonna be a huge hee-haw about that. For the
Right.
few people that use it, I think we would have some time there. So if the case were that we could get the dog park to move quickly, I wouldn't hold it up on account of not having the basketball done yet.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
that-
I'm talking about.
That
yeah,
can
yeah,
follow,
right.
And you only have one basket anyway, and it's not even,
and it's rarely used.
and it's not even at legal height, so.
One of the other things that the dog park folks had requested was a take one, leave one book stand.
We're already on it. I have spare wood
Okay.
and they're building it on Monday.
Okay.
So there you go.
There we go.
Bam.
The fence at the pool.
Oh, yeah. And I kind of see when you do the design for that, you could do options for the fence. Like, if the price, because fencing gets really expensive.
Mhm.
And the prettier the fence, the more expensive it gets. So you might want to look when you're pricing it, different
Several options.
grades, yeah.
Yes.
You know, since we're at the pool, what I would like to see, I thought, who mentioned it? Was it Flavia that mentioned the, trees with the wet, the water
slash
fund?
boundary
Flash.
colors.
I would like to see those added next to the kiddie pool. There's a space over there.
So.
Is there
And I-
space
and I was
enough?
trying, no, I love your idea. So here's the thing. And I love that Flavia brought that out. I think splash pads are great. I take my kids to them. But from a maintenance perspective, they're a nightmare.
Oh.
I
If-
had,
Hold on.
yep,
If it is your desire to put these items in, we put them in. We will address the maintenance on the operating side.
but I think what she was just asking is, as opposed to doing the splash pad, what if we incorporated it into the pool?
Into the pool, yes.
Which was something I came up with about a year and a half ago, because you can utilize the same filtration system, change the footprint of the pool. Kids are separate and we don't have a UV, we don't have separate plumbing, we don't have separate pumps.
And you can use the same bathrooms and so it
Ju-
solves the
just
problems
as
on the back
I'm
end.
only
You're
kind
right.
of piggybacking on
right.
what you said.
I would
I'm not
just-
recommending that.
So with the pool upgrades, is this the priority that you would like those in?
From staff perspective, liability perspective, I do think the fence
The
should go
fence goes
first.
first.
Oh, the fence for sure.
For safety, my perspective.
What do you guys
The
think?
fence, the lighting, and the cameras go first.
Safety first.
You can move the sunshaded dog park up to the dog park.
No, this is umbrella for the pool area.
No, right here.
Oh, yeah,
Well, I think, do we have that?
Yeah, I think you already
she
put it.
put covered, but
Okay, so then it can be deleted.
E before D, the umbrella for the pool before the splash pad.
Figure out a price for naming rights on park benches.
If they're gonna donate the bench,
it could be.
whatever you guys wanna do.
Well, you don't want people saying, well, I can't afford a $1,200 budget. This is the bench I picked out and I'm gonna put in and it's totally inadequate.
No, it would be a program that we would all agree on the bench
Yeah,
type and material.
Mhm.
And then we would calculate the cost for purchase, engraving and staff time. And then that would be, the program that we would implement. So then John Doe or Jane Doe would pay $50, total install donated. Then they write us a check, fill out the application, and then that's it.
But it could be 2, 3, 4 people,
They could.
Oh, yeah.
5 people donating a single bench. So I don't think, yeah.
would it be in perpetuity or would it be in a timeline?
No, it would be, so like what I did at the beach, we had a memorial bench program and you donated and then it became property of the district. And then the district and or town had no responsibility to replace it. I mean, we maintained it, but if it rusted out and broke or a natural disaster occurred, we weren't gonna replace it.
Okay.
And if
The
we're
other
looking
thing is-
to generate money, we can always do a brick walkway where you can name the
Neighbors,
bricks,
yeah.
yeah.
that's a
There's,
good idea.
there's a lot of ways to do it.
Okay, so bocce ball. I would like to see something similar to this. To where there's a walkway in the middle,
We
Do-
do have a walkway in the middle.
Okay.
It's just.
a little bit,
Hazardous
and
step.
yeah,
Yes.
right, to make it better.
It's narrow, it's not
Mhm.
hazardous.
Yeah.
Okay.
A wider walkway is
Okay.
what I mean. Okay, so a wider walkway, maybe cover the whole bocce ball. And you all can look through it,
You know,
and add benches all around. This is similar to one out in West Palm. There's more. I have playground pictures of
Yep.
several things I
You wanna
downloaded.
pass it that way and if
Yeah,
you wanna look at
you
it,
all can look.
I would gladly take it if you would like.
like,
Yeah, you can have it.
I can tell you one of the things that we do up at Cypress Trail RV Resort with our bocce ball courts when they're not being used for bocce ball. People come out with their bean bags. I don't remember what that's
Bean bag.
called.
Cornhole.
A corn, yeah, cornhole.
Cornhole.
And
Cornhole.
they have cornhole tournaments and that something that people could do.
And they made for many years now cement, concrete cornhole. So once you put it, they're very reasonable too. They'll last forever and you only bring your own bags.
That's something to consider maybe in that general pavilion area, since it's low cost and it's very, very popular. I mean, people go out in our neighborhood, play cornhole on the street
yeah?
or on the side of the
Yeah.
homes. It's so popular. I mean,
So you can put in a horseshoe or something like that.
yeah. Easy. So. Benches, washable, what else? Wider walkway, metal shade structural benches. I would add benches all around because benches is very general. They could add like 2 benches. I would. Just see what else. This is just a sample with some playground costs and I can get more, There you go. Like I said, it's.
I will just let you know, I have another meeting I have to attend at 3:00, but, this is, we wanna
Stuff
try to
through.
pick,
Okay,
prioritize these last couple.
Move monuments and take down the trees at the.
Oh,
bocce
yeah,
ball.
we forgot that.
I would put the playground next. We need to have a playground. Proper. in the comments.
I would say it's commons too, we need pickleball, basketball,
Yep.
volleyball.
How
Cause
many-
again, if you're gonna move, just say, for instance, the dog park does get moved, now you have nothing. No playground, there's no basketball, there's no volleyball.
Good, cornhole in there too.
Oh, yeah.
pickleball and cornhole. Okay, and then, green trash dumpster at the pool, what was that?
That was submitted from the pool task force.
So
Right
let's
now-
add that
Right
to
now,
the,
where did they take all the trash? Right, it's like that, where that fence is, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And,
The
and so
dumpster.
there's gotta be some place that you gotta deal with trash and, you know, that's, you know, a couple times there's like overflow stuff
Mm-hmm.
out there. We need to really screen that if we're gonna make it a nicer.
so that should be
Right,
part of
don't-
it. Should we move that to the pool then?
Yes.
Yeah, that should.
Yeah, so.
Can we scroll up for a second?
Yeah,
Chelsea, please.
zoomed in, so it was hard to see.
I can see.
Can we, scroll down again, please?
Somebody's belt. Where are you going to go to playground?
All the way down, yeah, playground, park benches, the linear park would be next for me.
Oh, yeah.
Do you-
Linear park, park benches,
with the playground, most new playground structures have a large shade canopy over them. Now, there are height restrictions and proximity restrictions, but is that as part of putting in a new playground,
Yes.
do you want it to be
Yeah. I
shaded?
think
Yes.
It has to.
has to be
Especially with-
shaded. I would add, how much detail do we have to go in? Because in the playground would like to have some developmental, games, maybe a sandbox for smaller children. I mean, all that could be up for discussion when we get.
So
Well,
to
did
that.
someone play with the linear park for the, disc golf?
Yeah.
I'm waiting on
So, I mean-
FPL.
You can't really plan too much if you don't even know about that yet.
I'm waiting on FPL to get back to me and I'm not holding my breath that it's gonna be
Right.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
And
But
then
I
that, Maria, that would relay back to your, training exercises, those little stations.
Mhm.
Either way, I'm waiting on feedback or a response from FPL.
Yeah, so you can't
Yeah,
really do
let's-
anything there. without
Still-
that.
Those benches at the linear park.
Yeah, well, they let you put a bench down though?
I don't know.
Why not, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
But I
Benches
guarantee those will
and-
be metal. Those will be.
Developmental
Exercise stations.
games.
And what about
Yeah.
the seniors? Are they into like shuffleboard, anything like that?
Oh, pickleball.
I think I'm
Pickleball.
a person who still
Pickleball.
likes shuffleboard.
Seniors play.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying they add shuffleboard
Watchable.
into it also.
Where?
By the, under 7, like number F, letter F, I mean.
We completely left out the pavilion.
Where do you
Oh,
want
with
that?
the concert.
So we have to, the music pavilion, I think that's
We
gonna
didn't
be a
have that by
huge
the
hit.
Oh,
Um,
Or at the commons?
we need to find
That's a good
a priority.
Put it in between volleyball and cornhole. Right?
No,
we gotta
because that's not gonna be part of the,
Well, it's gonna be at,
Playground.
but it's gonna be at the commons.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll change this.
Well,
to
why don't you just,
comments.
like,
I
yeah,
would, yeah,
right, do a commons and then that's A.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Has the questionnaire been re-raised? Have you guys found that from the first time that everybody started talking about tennis courts, pickleball?
We have it.
shoes, all that stuff?
We have that. It hasn't been raised or broached.
Well, I think that's gonna become an issue.
Yeah, also-
It's not just gonna come from us, but they're gonna,
Yeah. Well,
I
to be
mean,
honest,
they
any
were
one of
ready
these
to lynch
could
people
become an issue,
for
but
bringing
once-
it up last time.
well,
that's
not
what the board
following,
will do, right?
Wait.
They will.
why would it be an issue?
Well,
People don't.
the first time around, a lot of comments, some people said, well, why tennis if we're doing pickleball? And then a lot of people said, well, I don't want pickleball because it's very loud and very busy. So you're just gonna have people that like something and don't like other things. I can't speak to their reasons.
The guy that could speak to the reasons better than anyone was a guy that was the HOA president from Stony Brook. And he walked in and he had the numbers. 80% of the people in this neighborhood, in this entire area, do not want that park to be developed with these items. And so basically the master plan,
I would do walking trail on
the
that,
master
Where-
plan that was
where you just
that
like.
proposed right now, you can't use it because there's a building now we're putting over here and there's things, so it has to be redone by somebody. And, you know, so they redid it before, but they just used input from people on staff.
And I would take the,
Okay, they
so
didn't
now we
talk
covered
to
the park benches down on
neighborhoods.
the
It's like
bottom.
Sometimes we don't get
And then we
people
can leave the
to use
billboard
the
as
pool
a separate.
because they have a little pool of their own or they belong to the club or
And the
whatever.
billboard. the thing
Right,
with the
So
billboard-
we're gonna have to bring that out and see what the
It's-
numbers
The
stay.
thing with the
It
billboard.
would have
is
to be
about
another
sharing.
survey is what you're saying.
Going
And there
forward.
probably is
Not
gonna be
just
another
the
year
billboard,
survey.
Mhm.
Because that's gonna
or
mitigate
less,
what he's talking
know,
about.
but
That's
it
how you're
can't
gonna get
be
this stuff
Mhm.
when you
done
share this
in
in
a
another
vacuum.
way.
Sometimes
And you
we
get
don't
it,
do
you
the
get,
transparency
you know.
thing. We use the word, but we never do the.
Yeah.
All right.
So billboard
Let's-
isn't really.
Let's try to
okay,
do
I gotta go.
one conversation.
Can I,
Time for the record.
going back to what he, David said, I just think that we have this committee and it's impossible to get 50,000 people to agree to every single little thing. So since we have this committee, these are our accommodations, we agree to it and we move forward and you're gonna find negative Nancy here, there and everywhere. That's not gonna like this part, that part, or maybe this part and the other part. And my answer to this is if you don't like it, then volunteer.
They had an opportunity to be in the committee.
Exactly. So
You'll go to the
Or
CDD
show up.
meetings and you'll hear a lot of negative Nancy's.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. You gotta be ready. You gotta
Okay.
be ready.
So I
And
think
it's
this,
not a matter of who can talk the loudest or the most.
right, exactly.
Because that group is gonna say, you know, I mean, they were almost afraid to even say the word before about a park in that area. Now they're starting to change a little bit.
I think the people are gonna welcome the dog park. I think they're gonna welcome having extended hours at the pool. I think
Mhm.
those are no brainer.
Yeah, we're not-
But I think once we start making improvements and people are gonna get on board, that's, I mean, like I said, negative Nancy's are gonna be everywhere. You can't,
The biggest problem is gonna be getting the word out to everybody that these things are here.
Exactly.
But with that,
And that's,
Well,
billboard
well,
doesn't say it. I don't know how you explain that a little bit better.
yeah, can
Yeah,
we
I don't know
explain,
enough to-
can we explain that?
Informational message board.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
message board,
Something.
basically. That's
Yeah,
all.
community
There you go.
information.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is more than just a billboard. It's about a program outside of you, because all due respect, no, it's not happening.
Yeah,
We're not getting it, so we need to hire a consultant or somebody to tell us how to start it and then fill in, provide like it'd be like if you're gonna design something that's very specific, like a dental school. It's like, I don't know what they need, but I hire a consultant to do it. And so that's what we need here, a consultant
bring
to
some
get the
different-
word
different
out
view.
for people to understand that these things are available and get people to go and do it. So it's more than just a billboard, and I don't know how you say that, but, and, you know, I know you work very hard and please don't.
Hey, there's a lot to do and it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
So,
Is there any, I don't know if you do it already, maybe you do, but is there any way you can contact everybody's HOA, put them in an email, this is what we have going on, and now you disperse it to your people?
so I will tell you, we actually talked in length about this yesterday at the board meeting and problem is it doesn't matter, all communication. We have sent out, we do have every HOA board out here in every camp. We send it to those entities and most of the time it stops there. It does not get forwarded along. So one of the things that we're working on internally is perhaps, I know like at the beach, we had, like, you could sign up for emails. Like, and those types, so when the district pushed that information out, you got that ding of that communication. So, there's definitely a disconnect between how we're communicating now. We're getting some, but not all. And so I think something simple as a banner or like this community message board that's apparent. We could, that's maybe the missing piece.
Yeah, definitely a good idea.
Thank you so much.
We will,
We got a lot done.
we will
Yeah, we
send,
did.
we'll send this out to you all. Do you want to set up another meeting, before the board meets
I would,
on the 16th? The board's gonna meet on the 16th, so
so today's, the
Well,
fifth.
our next meeting is what?
It's at the end of the month, so that's too late. I would like to
set it for the,
set up another meeting before the board,
it either has to be the 12th
like
or
the
the
12th.
15th, because we'd have to publish it right now.
the 12th, to give us the opportunity to do some research and maybe talk in depth more about what and tweak this list a little bit more and talk a little bit more about what we would like going into those places, if everybody agrees.
I can tell you the ranger here, who else is in that?
We'll make it, I'll be here then. I can sit with them.
I mean, I'm
Oh,
not saying I can't
wait,
be here,
wait,
but
wait.
if something comes up,
I'm not here next week.
Okay. so
I think you guys can talk through this though, together.
I think we just need to get some numbers crunched.
I'll bang out some numbers by then and I will do my best to get all of these
You
together.
wanna do that or the
And
15th?
At least you have a idea of what we're looking at.
But
The 12th.
I
or
would like to
15th?
say again, I liked what, I picked up on what Flavia said. Don't look at numbers, that's gonna be their job.
Well,
I would like to
that's,
look at what we need.
that is our job as staff to present the numbers to them. So you guys come up with the ideas, and maybe the next goal, I have to run to my other meeting, but maybe the next meeting that you all have on the 12th is to take this list and put a wants and a needs category. And then we can go from there. We can still keep this priority list, but do a wants and a needs.
I think they're all needs. Sorry,
No, don't be sorry.
I think
That's why you're on this
our
committee.
area needs a lot more than what it has now.
It does, but some needs are more than others. Like the dog park. I know it'd be great to have a new dog park, but we already have a dog park.
Yes, but you're missing the point. If you go by here when the soccer fields are full,
Yeah, I know.
you're gonna see the cars are, I mean, we have to start from somewhere in order to get to where we need. So if we relocating this,
Make sure you
it solves that problem. We're killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I
And,
get it.
and people can use the dog park.
Oh, yeah, that's wouldn't you, I wanna have some amenities we don't have first before we redo an amenity we already have.
Yeah, but do you wanna pay, repair this whole thing when it's gonna mean moved anyway?
Leave it the way it is until we get some new stuff here, then,
He just has a different priority.
yeah, just
Right.
in a different
That's-
order.
That's
all.
okay.
Yeah.
Would there be a way to do it on the 11th? I'm really booked on the 12th. Could we do it on the 11th afternoon?
I'm good with the 11th.
I'm good on the 11th.
The fear I would have is that if we don't come up with a plan for the fun park, somebody's gonna. The supervisors to sell.
We have P-PAC meeting on the 11th.
I know, but that's
At-
not here. Oh, that's here. Yeah, you're
Yes.
right.
Uh,
Feedback
Okay.
is Here at 2. So you guys can meet in the morning. You can meet in the morning on that day.
Morning meeting would be okay for me.
Okay,
The
On the
11th,
11th?
which is Thursday.
I won't be either.
Robert says doesn't solve the problem, just alleviate it.
Which
I don't know.
okay.
I'm just reading.
Well, do it on the 12th and I'll try to see if I can move some things around.
The 12th in the afternoon? At 2,
2:30.
3?
I'm
2:30?
good too.
You guys pick. You tell me. I'm not gonna be here, so.
Oh, I say 3.
3, make it 3 and I can be here.
3.
Thank you.
3. Georgia, can you duplicate today's meeting for 3 o'clock on the 12th and publish it immediately.
3 o'clock, 3 o'clock on the 12th. You got it.
Yep, and just leave the first item on there and I sent you the prac priorities list, add that to it, please.
Will do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. He said doesn't solve the problem, dog park parking 3.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Oh, but he means, third on the list, I would
Oh,
imagine.
Yeah, dog, it doesn't, solves it, just alleviates it, so
Hey.
that's the part.
Yeah, can you hear me? I
Yeah,
just took you off. Oh, sorry. I took you off mute finally. I was able to talk now. So thank you once for reading comments, but moving the dog park, that will help alleviate the parking issue. It's not going to solve it. Nothing's going to solve it absent getting the church across the street to let us park there on Friday and Saturdays, but it'll help. I just don't want everybody to think all of a sudden we're not going to end up with people still parking on the wrong side of Soccer Drive on Friday nights and Saturday mornings.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, but I'll take any help I can get at this point, but yes, I totally agree with your
Well,
perspective.
can we find out between now and the 12th, how many parking spaces are
that'd
going
be
to be
easy.
created?
I can find out in the next 10 minutes, we'll just drive there, count them.
Okay,
Count what we got, I'll measure it out, know that we can stick them in there.
okay.
So anybody else have anything else to discuss at this point, or you wanna wait till, nothing else, so meeting adjourned. 3:06.
So Ted,
All right, let me turn everything off.
You're
here
gonna
real
send us a
quick.
copy of what you've got here on the,
Yes, Georgia has already got it. He's
Okay.
already gonna send it.
any ideas when you want to try music venue over?
Well, I didn't put that together for today just because I was short on time and working on this budget.